Good evening, friends. Adipa and Sahanya, can you hear me? And I wish you can see me as well. If you can confirm me whether you can hear me and see me, we can go ahead. Thank you, Adipa, for your response. Yes. So, ladies and gentlemen, yes, we have only two members here tonight, but we don't mind. We are going ahead because we know that some of them are going to rely on recordings. But I respect you too, Sahanya and Adipa, for coming here because the live experience cannot be really counted or rather compared with any recording experiences because we are going to do it live, you and me connecting together and discussing, and at the very moment we are going to deal with the whole cognitive process. So, welcome to the third session of Academic Literacy for STEM Studies. Hi, how are you all doing? Just respond me with your chat or rather unmute your mic and say, how are you doing? Doing fine. That's Adipa's response. Can I hear from Sahanya? How are you doing, Sahanya? And yes, Sahanya, you are also fine. And good evening, Madam Ashwini. We have just begun.
Yes, good evening. And sorry for being late. And we have only two students today.
Yeah, you see, this is a wonderful advantage where we have two students to teach them. We have two teachers out here, and they are from the top leading STEM university, University of Moratuwa. So you are proud uh, beneficiaries of this whole, what we call, wonderful program, Sahanya and Adipa. So be part of it and let's cheer and go ahead. Okay. So I have one question to ask. You all have to respond this question. How many words do you think in English you are known to? I want the response from Adipa and Sahanya and perhaps Madam Ashwini also. How many words do you think that you know in English language? That's number one. Question number two, how many words do you think the English language has got? So let me have your responses, please. I wish my question is clear. How many words in English do you know? How many words do you think English language has got? Okay, Adipa. So you have a clue on how many words could there be in English language. So you think it's 500,000. Okay, okay. I'm not saying whether it's a correct answer or a wrong answer. So you have an idea. English language has nearly 500,000 words. Okay. Don't you know how many words you know? That's a simple question. Answer my second question as well. Sahanya, how about you? Sahanya, no need to be hurry and search in internet, see how many words in English language and all that. Just let me know as you guess. Yeah. Adipa Disanayaka admits that we only know few, like maybe maximum 2,000. Why, Adipa, you say we? I happen to ask you, right? So when you say we know only, we as students, okay, okay, okay. Sahanya, how about your reading about it? How many words do you think you know, and how many words are there in English language? We don't have time to waste on this simple question. Just let me know. Yeah. Yes, it's a little hard to say an exact number, true, but just make a guess. How many words do you think you know? Yeah. Forget about an exact number. You can round it up and say maybe about 4,000. Okay, okay. Madam Ashwini, shall I pose the same question on you? How many words do you think you know in English language?
Okay, here, now there are stages of language acquisition, and according to it, now it is said by Jude High stages of language acquisition, and if we get now there are like 5 stages, and the last two stages are intermediate fluency and advanced fluency. No, the third one is speech emergence, where the students have developed a vocabulary of about 3,000 words and can communicate with simple phrases and sentences. And then we come to the intermediate fluency stage, where English languages learners at the intermediate fluency stage have a vocabulary of 6,000 active words, and they are beginning to use more complex sentences when speaking and writing, and are more willing to express opinions and share their thoughts. And then the final stage is advanced fluency, where now this is about students actually take 4 to 10 years to achieve this proficiency in a second language. So this is near native. So if we become near native, we acquire like more than 6,000. I mean, it comes like around like 10,000, 8,000 words. It's the final stage where the student has near native level of language proficiency. Yeah.
Thank
So
you
it
so
depends. We are in stages. It's in stages. According to
right.
its second stages of second language acquisition by Judy Hines, we now a student who acquires a second language comes across 5 stages: reproduction, speech emergence, immediate fluency, and advanced fluency. Yes. So according to the stage we are, the number of words we know of the language changes.
Okay, okay. That's very descriptive and very, what do you call, very academic answer. So let us do a bit of a challenge. Here, I'm going to show you something, a simple challenge, right? And just be part of it. I'm going to show you something on screen. And I want you, ladies and gentlemen, to try it out. Give me 1 second. I'm going to share it. Yes. Can you see my screen on this? I'm sure yes. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to look at something called word dynamics today. You know why word dynamics are important? It's because we collect, or rather we collect language by the number of words we know, or rather we assess our language skills by the number of words we know and how often we use that words in meaningful sequences to make meaningful utterances so that we continue to communicate in that language, right? So today's topic is words and their dynamics. Okay, I have a simple question to ask. There is a sentence that I pause on the screen. Can you see? It's written in Sinhala, it's written in English, and of course, it's written in a third language as well. It's not English, but this particular language that you can see within the square brackets is International Phonetic Alphabet Language, or rather, a collection of letters which are representing all the sounds available in every language in the world. We call it IP alphabet. So in IP alphabet, I have written the same sentence. So your challenge is this: write this sentence in English and send it in your chat. Pusa Kiri boy. That's my sentence, and I want you to translate that in English and send it to me. so that I'll be looking at how quick and accurate you are. Okay? Adipa sent me his response. I want Sahanya also. Okay, great. Madam Ashwini, you would be wondering the two sentences I've got. Adipa says, it's cat drinks milk. And Sahanya says, cat is drinking milk. So let me ask from Sahanya whether Adipa's sentence is correct or wrong. And let me ask the same question from Adipa whether Sahanya's sentence is wrong or correct. Sahanya admits that is also correct, sir. Okay, okay. If I happen to ask why and how could it be the same idea, Pusa Kiriboy, could be written in two sentences or rather two different ways or two different grammatical sequence. How can it be? Well, in the meantime, can I hear from Adib? I would love if you all can come to the main chat so that we'll all be able to see. Adib, do you think Sahana's sentence is correct? Sahana's sentence is, cat is drinking milk. I thought it's not a continuous sentence. Okay. You don't need to go into more detail. Just say whether the sentence is right or wrong. This is not a big deal, quite a simple deal. But now I think it's also correct. Now, Adip, just don't admit that it is told by a girl that you're going to admit it. Oh my God, what a shame. Right? Can't you defend your answer? This is a shame. My God. Yeah? Madam Ashwini, have you got any comments on this? The two sentences are, cat drinks milk.
Yes, yes. Yeah.
The other thing is, the cat is drinking milk.
හරි දැන් මම ඇහුවොත් ඔයගොල්ලොන්ගෙන් හරි දැන් පූසා කිරිබොයිනේ හරි හ්ම් හරි එතකොට දැන් අපිට මෙන්න මේ පූසා කිරි බොයි කියන එක ඔයාට කියන්න පුළුවන්ද දැන් පූසා කිරි බොයි කියන එක ඔයාට ඒ කියන්නේ දැන් කිසිය ඒ කියන්නේ දැන් පූසා කිරි බොයි කියන එකට විතරයිද සීමා වෙන්නේ නැත්නම් ඔයාට කියන්න පුළුවන්ද සාමාන්‍යයෙන් පූසා කිරි බොන්න ආසයි ඒකින්ද එයා රෙගියුලරි ඒ කියන්නේ එයාගේ එක හැබිට් එකක් ඒ කියන්නේ එයා කැමති කිරි බොන්න සෝ දැන් ඔයා අහනවා පූසා කිරි බොනවද ඔව් පූසා කිරි බොයි හරි එතකොට ඒ වගේම දැන් මං අහනවා දැන් පූසා මොකද්ද කරන්නේ පූසා කිරි බොමින් ඉන්නවා හරි දැන් මම පොඩි හින්ට් එකක් දුන්නා එතකොට කියන්න බල මොකද්ද මේකේ හරි මොකක් හරි මේ හරි කන්ක්ලූෂන් එකකට එන්නකෝ දෙන්න
දෙන්නම මේන් chat එකට එන්න. හරි කන්ක්ලූෂන් එකට එන්න. ඔයාලා හිතන්නේ කොයි sentence එකද හරි. දැන් මම දුන්නා. I'm giving the chance for both of you to decide, right? So this time we are not going to ask whether the other one is right or wrong, but we are asking whether which sentence is right. Yeah. Sahanya? It is not continuous. Okay, that is Adipa's response. What about Sahanya? Well, Sahanya, can I hear from your response? Yeah? Hear or see what you have got as response? I'm sure that you have never met with such a big puzzle in your life in such a simple question, aren't you? බලන්නකො මේ සරල චූටි ප්‍රශ්නට උත්තර දෙන්න මේ ළමයි දෙන්නා විඳින දුක. A levels කළ යුනිවර්සිටි යන්නත් සිලෙක්ට් වෙනවා. අපිට නම් ලැජ්ජ හිතෙනවා. Right? Yeah. Okay, I'm not going to waste a lot of time on this. Well, my conclusion is both of your sentences are wrong, and at the same time, both of your sentences are right. Why do I call both of your sentences wrong? Because you do not actually look at the context, right? Madam Ashwini happened to simply talk about the context, but with that, Adipa thought that it is not continuous. Okay, that's a good understanding. But Sahanya is still silence without giving any answer. Sahanya තමයි අතරම මෙතන ඉන්න හොර පූසි.
හරි. එතකොට අපි දැන් ඔතන බලන්න cat නේ. හරි. cat හරි. දැන් දැන් ඔය හරි. ඔයාට ඔය sentence එක ඉස්සරහට මොන හරි add කරන්න පුළුවන් කියලා බලන්න. නැත්තම් ඔහොම තිබ්බොත් just make some modifications.
Yeah.
Make some modifications to the sentence again ඉස්සරහට හරි වචන වෙනස් කරලා හරි දැන් ඔයගොල්ලෝ උත්තර දෙකක් දුන්නා හරි එතකොට ඔය sentence දෙක දුන්න sentence දෙක තව මොකක් හරි modification එකක් කරලා ටිකක් අර මීට වැඩිය නිකන් අර පොඩ්ඩක් මේ කියන්නේ පොඩ්ඩක් sensible වගේ කියන්නේ meaningful වගේ හිතනවාද කියන්නේ නිකන් අමුතු නැති විදිහට හදන්න පුළුවන්ද ඔක
දැන්
නැත්නම් මේක නිකන් තනියෙන්
yeah.
අඩුවක් දැනනවද ඔය sentence දෙකේ පොඩි නිකන් මොකක් හරි දෙයක අඩුවක් දැනනවද මොකක් හරි වචනයක අඩුවක් ඔය sentences දෙකේම
ඔය sentences දෙකේම අඩුපාඩුවක් තියෙනවා, right? And can you detect where this adupadu lies, or rather where this defect, or rather the deficiency lies? Huh? This is not a big deal, my dear kids. Puja Kiriboy. Yep. So let me take Adipa's sentence. Adipa, can you type it on the main chat? What you wrote originally? Cat drinks milk. Sahanya, now let me have your attention. Now, when you see this sentence, cat drinks milk, don't you see that there is a bit of a void in the sentence which makes it perfect. Now, let me invite Sahanya. Let me admit this. Let me admit Adipa's sentence is much more correct than Sahanya's to reflect the idea that I want you to translate, right? That's why Adipa, I said, you simply admitted that Sahanya said something else, so you went on admitting that her thing is correct. So this is typical human, this is typical masculine, this is typical Pirimi, but just be mindful and brainful and use it and try to admit that you wrote what is really correct. So if you have written something correctly, there is a little mistake in your sentence. Sahanya, can you correct it? Where do you think, Sahanya, the mistake lies? Now I admitted Adipa's sentence is correct. Now I admitted Adipa's sentence is correct. But it has some mistake. Can Sahanya correct Adipa's sentence's mistake? Or rather, even Adipa can do the correction. Let me help you with simple guess, as Madam Ashwini also happened to help, right? The mistake lies at the very beginning of the sentence. Okay, now try to correct it. Adipa. Oh, Adipa, come to something wonderful. The cat drinks milk. Okay, Sahanya, do you admit that this sentence correctly brings the idea Puja Kiriboy? Sahanya, I want your view. And with that, I'll be moving on to today's lesson, that is words and their dynamics. Cat usually drinks milk. Okay. No, Sahanya, no need to make it much more complicated. This is typical female. I happen to ask you just one question. When Adipa corrects the sentence to the latest one, the cat drinks milk, do you admit that that particular sentence correctly translates the idea Puja Kiriboy? Just say me yes or no. Yes. Perfect. Perfect. Okay. Now let us move on and see what are the dynamics of words. Now, when you write cat drinks milk, I say the sentence is wrong because cat as the opening subject of the sentence lacks something to make it really meaningful. So let's look at what this whole thing is. Well, now in your example, Puja Kiriboy, we actually have taken Puja as the subject of the sentence. Yes. And you see, Puja, yes, this bloody Puja happened to be translated as cat in simple English as non-native Englishes, but cat actually means something like this. If I am to convert that to Sinhala, cat simply means something like poos. Say, for example, if you say cat milk, what is the meaning? Poos kiri. If you want to make cat a meaningful cat, you have to add it something further. So I'll show you what happens when you use the cat, right? So what happens when you use the very word the cat is this. When you change it to the cat, what happens is this poos in English, this poos in Sinhala actually gets the very, very suffix, what we call ah. Now, how Sinhalese word poos is made pooza? By adding a suffix which is a. With that, we made it pooza. Right? So, to make cat poos a meaningful expression, we added it with a suffix that is a, with which we make it meaningful. Now this a is a pratyaya අපි සිංහලෙන් කියනවා. එහෙම නැත්නම් ඉංග්‍රීසි වලින් කියනවා අපි suffix එකක් කියලා, or rather we can call it an affix, or we can call it an addition, right? To make this meaningful in this particular case, cat is made meaningful by adding something called determiner, that is the definite article. The, when it is added with cat, that makes a definite pusa. Nishitama hadunagat puse. Well, now I will ask the same question on kiri. Now, if you talk about kiri, kiri as it is milk. Right? Yeah. Kiri as it is milk. Has milk got a singular form? Okay. Before we go to this kiri, let's look at how we can make puso. Now, when you want to make it puso, in English, what we do is quite simply we add a suffix that is s to the end, and with which make it plural. In Sinhala, what we do is we actually add something called o. ආ කියන ප්‍රත්‍ය වගේම මෙතනට අපි ඇඩ් කරනවා ඕ කියන ප්‍රත්‍ය. ඇඩ් කරපුවාම මේක පූසෝ බවට පත් වෙනවා. එහෙම නැත්නම් අපි මෙතෙන්ට ඕ වෙනුවට අන් කියන ප්‍රත්‍ය එකතු කරන්න පුළුවන්. එහෙම වුණොත් මේක පූසන් බවට පත් වෙනවා. මං කියන කාරණේ තේරෙනවද? පූසන් බවට පත් කරන්න අපි ඉංග්‍රීසි වල කරන්නේ cats. එහෙම නැත්නම් pluralization. We add simply s suffix. Don't you see that these words, when they are added with prefixes, suffixes, words in the front, and maybe with some sounds added to it, infuse it, you see that the whole idea of the word is going to change. This nature of a word taking many meanings depending on the context is called word dynamics. Did you get the idea of what is a word dynamic? You have to confirm it by responding, maybe with the thumbs up or rather yes or something. Okay. Now, let's look at the very expression milk. Milk, you see, hasn't got any plural. So we don't call it milks, right? And without even adding the kiri itself makes a meaningful expression, milk, right? So why poos needs the article the to make it meaningful, whereas milk or kiri does not need any article to make it meaningful? Can somebody answer my question? Come on, we have to explore a wonderful dimension of words. Once you learn this, I'm sure that you are going to see this world of words as a very scientific domain where you can learn a lot. Come on, guys. Tell me, what makes cat poos, whereas milk kiri poos when it is standing alone without the, it is meaningless, or rather it is not perfectly meaningful. But even without the in the very word milk, it makes a meaningful notion. What made this difference? Can somebody explain me? Or rather, if you cannot explain me, just tell me to explain. I'll do it without wasting your time. Sahanya, any idea to add into this? Or rather, Adipa? Come on. You have never thought of these simple things, aren't you? You never thought of this. Adipa says, I have no idea. Sahanya says, no idea. So let me tell you. And today, once you learn the word dynamics, you are going to clear all these troubles, right? So let me tell, words actually have two components. Words are made out of a sound component. That is what we articulate, what we produce in our mouth. And it has a meaning which we actually add from our brain, our memory. So when you utter a word, it involves two things. We articulate a word, or if we write it, we write something in our calligraphy on piece of paper. And when we write or read, we articulate it. And in that articulation gets a meaning from our brain. Now remember, words are made out of two elements, words and sounds. And the sound element of word is quite interesting. The sound elements actually can do a lot. And we are going to explore that. So the very idea of word dynamics is a word, when it appears in a sentence, it has a different meaning. Word, when it appears in a phrase, it has a different meaning. Word, when it stands alone, it has another meaning. Word, when it is in a sentence, it gets a different meaning. Now, if you have seen here, cat, when it stands alone, in singular, we have to get the meaning "whose." But when cat is in a phrase with the cat, we see that it gets a meaning "whose are." And in the third case, cats, when it gets a sound added to it, it also gets a meaning, that is "whose are," no "whoso." And milk, without anything standing alone, itself is meaningful. So this nature of words getting different meanings here and there depending on the place where it stands is called word dynamics. Did you get the idea? Have you had an idea? Have you got an idea what is a word dynamics? I wish yes. So let me move on to discuss what these dynamics are, right? What these dynamics are. Yes. Okay. Let me clear my annotations to move on to yes. Now what you can read on screen. Sahanya, I want you to read what is on the slide. Sahanya, unmute your mic and read it, please.
Morphemes are the smallest units in a language that have meaning. They can be classified as free morphemes, which can stand alone as words or bound forms, which must be combined with another phoneme to form a complete word.
Right. Adipa, kanata ahenna kiyanne nෑනේ Sahanya, but we understood it, right? Now we are going to learn some terminology related to word dynamics. Why terminology? Because this is not English alone, right? And to make it an English lesson, we have to make a clearance about the terminology. Now, when we talk about word dynamics, we have to bring some linguistic terms. We call them morphemes, right? Morphemes are actually another name for sounds, right? There are two types of morphemes, free morphemes and bound morphemes. If you take the previous example, milk is a sound unit, which is a free morpheme, which has a meaning. When it is standing alone, it has a meaning. But if you see cat is also a morpheme, but it is not a free morpheme, because when it stands alone, it has a meaning, but it is an adjective meaning. Push කියන්නේ adjective එකක් නේ, මොකද අපිට කියන්නේ නාම විශේෂණාර්ථයක් නේ එකේ තියෙන්නේ. So free morphemes are basically any sound which has a meaningful expression. Bound morpheme is not a meaningful expression. So let me explain it by bringing an example. Right. Free morphemes are basically words. Say, for example, cat, milk, drink, in, the, or, any of these things are free morphemes. They are words. Then, what are bound morphemes? Bound morphemes are actually sounds. Say, for example, when you talk about eating, eat is a free morpheme, but if you separate its suffix ing, which is not a word, but it's a sound added to it, right? So free morpheme is a word in the simplest term, and a bound morpheme is a sound. Did you get the idea? Come on, give us an emotion, yes or no, right? Yes or no? Well, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Now we are going to look between the difference between the two morphemes. Here we are. Word actually has two sorts of dynamics. The first dynamic we call morphological dynamics, or dynamics at its word level, right? And there is another dynamic which words have, dynamic in its preseme level. Preseme level means, Puta, when a word connects with another word and make not a big concept like sentence, but the next level. Say, for example, cat connects with the word the, so it makes a phrase, the cat. It's a phrase, right? Those dynamics we identify as phraseme dynamics. And we'll be now looking at first the morphological dynamics. What are the morphological dynamics? Here we go. There are the first morphological dynamic in a word is that words, those we identified pre-morphemes, can connect together. Word 1 can connect with word 2 and create direct a third word. Let me give you an example. If you take high as the first free morpheme, and if you take way as the second free morpheme, these two together connect and make highway, which is a third free morpheme, third word. This particular dynamic is identified by me and by Madam Ashmini, and by our school, we identify this as compounding dynamic, because you know in chemistry what is compounding? One element comes in, the other element comes in, and they compound, right? So compounding is a word 1 joins with word 2 and makes an infused third word. Look at the example. Water plus fall makes waterfall, right? You can give a couple of examples. I'm inviting you to give some of the examples to compounding. I want both of you to bring some of examples for compounding. Quick, quick, quick. I'm waiting for the chat to update with your examples on compounding. Bring me some more examples. Adeepa and Sanya, come on. Don't they come into mind? What about ice cream? Wheelchair. Thank you, Adeepa. Okay. If it is wheelchair, a third word, you have to connect them together. It's wheelchair. You don't need to have a space in between. Okay. Come on. What else? Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Sahanya, bring us an example. What about ice cream? Come on.
Look at the screen. Look at the
Okay.
screen and say, and
Yeah.
look at this screen and say, what is this screen? And Mr. Prasanna is writing on it. We
Yeah.
have a board and we had whiteboard, blackboard.
Ah,
Do you
yes.
know there
Sahanya
are
brings
levels of,
cupboard. Yeah.
do you know, I mean, there are compounding levels of compounding.
Yes.
We can add an adjective. We can, I mean, the base verb is when we take blackboard. See, the board is the base verb, that is the noun, and we add an adjective just to make it. It's an adjective. That's a way of compounding. Way. Mr. Prasanna will explain, but then after I'll explaining, I will just tell you like there are different ways of compounding.
Right, guys. We looked at the first dynamic. What's it? Compounding dynamic, in which what happens? A free morpheme, a complete word, joins with another complete word, another free morpheme, and makes a third morpheme, which is free once again, which is a new word. That is, so this whole thing is one of the, what we call the creative aspects of words, right? We call this productivity in linguistics, because words can appear with free and bound morphemes together to make meaningful other units. Okay, we are going to look at the second morphological dynamic. What is it? Can Adipa read what the second morphological dynamic? Unmute your mic and read it. Just one word.
Fixation.
Affixation. Perfect. Now here what happens is, we learned free and bound morphemes at the beginning, and you came to know that bound morphemes are simply sounds. They are not words. Now in affixation, what happens is, there is a root word in the center, here W1, and to W1, the free morpheme, you get a sound affixed to its beginning or the end. If something is added to the beginning, we call it a prefix.
Now this is root. Now compound is root, combining roots, two roots.
Yeah.
And affixation is combining roots plus
fixes.
what do you call root plus affixes.
Yeah.
Derivation and inflection. Okay, derivation and inflections I will explain later. Okay.
Look at the example. Now the word here is pollute, and to make it past tense, we add the sound, that is a suffix, polluted. And to make it
here, look
yeah.
at now pollute, the word stand alone. Now the word pollute can stand alone with its own meaning. But see, un and d, which comes at the beginning of the front, they can't stand alone, and they don't have a meaning if they stand alone. But if they are connected to a root word, together they have a connected meaning. So when we talk about affixations, you already know there are two types of affixations, prefix and suffix. So prefix comes at the beginning and suffix comes at the end. So if you are affixation means affixation means it's like adding, like it's like connecting or adding, right? So if you are adding to the beginning of pre thing, it's prefix, and if you are adding to the end of the root, it's suffix. So it's how words are connected. Like there are two ways of building up words. First, you can take two root words, right? Take two root words that have individual meanings and can stand alone. Now, when we take water, it has a different meaning, right? And fall, it has a different meaning. So when now fall has a different meaning when it stands alone, and water has a different meaning when it stands alone. So these two individual words, roots or root words, get together, and then they compound and they create another meaning which is very much contrast to when we consider the meanings of the individual words. Now consider the word butterfly. See, butter is something like something we eat, right? Butter is something we apply on bread and something, and fly is something like an insect. But if we connect these two words and when we combine butterfly, right, it has a huge meaning difference. So it's a very a different word, right? So yeah, so it's compounding. We can make words by compounding, and so yeah.
We can make
and the
words
other word is
affixation, with which, that is another way of making new words, right? So we come to know two morphological dynamics of words, and let us move to the third. What is the third morphological dynamic? Can somebody read it? Adipa?
Transfiguration.
Perfect. Transfiguration. Now, what happens in transfiguration is quite simple. As Madam Ashwini has taken the example of butterfly, before butterfly is born, as a matter of fact, and as someone who studied science for all levels, you all know that butterfly has a life cycle, right? It starts with the egg and then becomes something else and then turned into be another thing, and finally it transfigures into a butterfly. Now, this particular phenomenon is taken to imply the meaning of the third form where words make new words. When you look at the example, you will understand it. Now look at a word like go. When go makes its past tense, how it changes. How it changes. I'm sure this is the case of almost all the irregular verbs in English. I'm sure that you have had troubles with them because they do not go into past tense by simply adding ed, d, or the sound d. So they completely change. Until now, until I actually questioned this whole thing from the whole English scholarship, how this particular behavior could be explained, they did not actually give any word. But here I invent the very word. In words, there is a dynamic called transfiguration dynamic, which means word changes to a totally different word shape, sound shape, and meaning shape. And that I identify here as transfiguration. So this is the case where words, particularly the verbs, which verbs? Irregular verbs, how they form their past tense can be illustrated by.
Now, don't mix it up with derivation and inflection. Now, inflection, so please explain them to derivation and inflection. That is again affixation.
Yes.
And the inflection, the grammatical words which do not abide by inflection, then they transfigure the grammatical words. I mean, transfiguration is only into grammatical words, not into lexical words. I mean, yeah.
Right. Madam Ashwini, I think, the lexical, grammatical, and, the borrowed and all those terms might mess their understanding. So let's go on the surface and let them exploit later. Right? So guys, let's start with the morphological dynamics. We come to know there are three morphological dynamics. First thing is a word, a meaningful word can join with another meaningful word and fuse together and make the third word, that is compounding. And the second thing is a meaningful word can have a sound unit at the beginning or end, affixation, which we call prefix, and suffixes with which they can form a new word. And the third form is, this is the case of explaining irregular verbs in which the root form of a word changes into a completely new form with which they form a new word. The example is go and went. So these are, in our today lesson, we identify them as morphological dynamics. So how many dynamics have we learned right now? 3 dynamics: compounding, affixation, and transfiguration. Let's move on to the second type of dynamics. This type of dynamic we identify as praising dynamics. Now we have talked about morphological dynamics, therefore we are not going to look at it further, and we are looking at praising dynamic right now. What is the praising dynamic? Here you see. The praising dynamic means when a word makes the next level of the language. Word can either stand alone in the sense a word stands alone meaningfully in a next level, which means sentence level. So let's look at the example. Stand alone means, say for example, the name Ashmini, he, that, milk, Kalambu.
When did you create this presentation?
Just a while ago, I think.
Okay.
Right? Okay. Now, when standalone dynamic comes in, you see certain words can stand alone meaningfully. If you take a simple pronoun like he, it's a meaningful word. It does not need anything else to mean it. And the same as a name like Ashmini, Sahanya, Adeep, and who is our newcomer here? Where we have a second member here. Yes, Navidu. These names can stand alone meaningfully. And that, the demonstrative pronoun, it can stand alone meaningfully. And if you take milk, milk can stand alone meaningfully. So this very feature of a word becoming meaningful even if it is standing alone, we identify it as the first praising dynamic, stand alone. Now I'm going to teach you something further. Now, if you take the very example we took at the beginning, cat. Now, cat is identified as a countable noun. Countable noun in the sense, cat is a noun which is countable, right? But milk, in the same example, cat drinks milk. In this, milk is not a countable word, which means which has not got a plural form. So any noun which has a plural form is a countable word. Any word which hasn't got a singular or plural distinct in the word, we call them what? What? Uncountable nouns. Now, milk, just look at whether milk can be counted. Milk, 2 milk, 3 milks, 4 milks. Can we? Can we? It's really odd. But look at cat. Cat, 1 cat, 2 cats, 3 cats, 4 cats. So you see, quite simple. So the very idea here is all the countable nouns, when they stand alone, they have one meaning. When uncountable nouns like milk stands alone, they have another meaning. What is the difference between them? When cat stands alone, it's actually an adjective which indicates the very breed of the cats. Whereas milk stands for the complete meaning, milk kiri, which is plural in its origin, and it hasn't got any singular form. Don't worry about standalone. Standalone means standalone කියන්නේ පුතේ වචනයක් තනියම අර්ථයක් සහිතව ඉන්න පුළුවන්. Right? හොඳයි. දෙවෙනි එකට අපි යමු. Let's look at the second praising dynamic. What is it? We call it praising. Praising means to make a meaningful unit that goes in a sentence. Words can join with another word, like a man can marry a woman and go and make a family, right? A boy can be friend with a girl and be a couple and think of a new world. The same way, words combine with words and make not a compound we discussed in the earlier. They do not fuse together. They sit together and make a meaningful unit. Look at the example. The cat. What happens in the very expression of the cat? Cat, when it stands alone, it's actually adjective. It's an adjective. But to make it a perfectly meaningful noun, we add it with the definite article the, with which we made it pusa, the cat. And if you take eat, if eat is added with something like an auxiliary do and a negation like not, do not eat, all that three together is a praise. And if you take milk, milk alone is also a standalone praise, whereas some milk, you see, some and milk comes together and they make praising. So quite simple. Words can stand alone meaningfully, but that meaning is different. And words can associate or rather link with some other words, and then the meaning changes and go into the next level. Let's move on to the next slide.
So it's like the determiner and the noun, and we have the auxiliary, the verb coming, and then the do helping verb. Yes. So now it's simply that noun phrase එකක් ගත්තොත් එතන noun phrase එකක් තියෙන්නේ, we have a determiner and the noun. Okay, so the determiner is something like the, or a quantifier like that, or a demonstrative pronoun like that, or else a quantifier like some, little, many, and it's simply the determiners. That determiner plus noun is the phrasing that Sir Prasan explained. And do not is again, it's a, Utana, the verb is here. We can't take it as a verb phrase, but we have the do, dummy do, and then we have the negation. I can't explain it.
Yeah. So we will eventually you will understand this. So let's move a little further. Quite simple. What we understood so far in your original sentence, when you say cat drinks milk is a perfect sentence, I argued that cat drinks milk is not a perfect sentence. And I said it has a defect, and you come to know the defect. What is it? Cat, to make it meaningful, cat wants to have the definite article. The cat together makes the noun phrase, and the object is milk. You see, the very subject here is the subject phrase, and the verb here is a verb phrase, and milk here is the object phrase, once again a noun phrase. But you see, milk, even without the help of phrasing, it stands alone meaningfully. The cat praised the determiner, praised with cat the noun, and these two together make the praising dynamic praising, right? So with that, let's move on to the next slide and understand what our next level is. Well, do you think when you make and learn new words in your journey of STEM exploration, do you think that just learning a single word itself makes a sense? It makes a sense, you'll get the meaning, but just getting the meaning itself is not the whole thing. If you really want to make the word meaningful, I will admit you to do this game. What is the game? Take a note of the 5 dynamics we have learned. Let me name them. Can you remember the dynamics? Compounding dynamic, we add the word with another word and make a new word, like ice, fall, seashore, and so on. And the second dynamic is compounding. It is compounding. And the second dynamic is affixation. We add the word, and to the word we add sounds like prefixes and suffixes and make new words. The third one was, there are some words which are completely changing its shape into a brand new shape and makes a meaningful sentence or a meaningful word, like go changes its shape and sound into went and make a meaningful past tense. That is transfiguration. And the fifth one was standing alone. Now, in the case of cat drinks milk, if you translate that simply as cat drinks milk without the at the beginning, so if you take word by word translation, you will see cat stands for poos, because it's not definitely defined with the article. Poos, milk, or cat, or then drinks, boy, kiri. So that particular sentence was meaningful for a Sri Lankan user, but it is not going to be meaningful to a native user, because they find that cat should come with the at the beginning to make it meaningful, right? So with that, my invitation for you all is, when you learn a new word, put these new words into these dynamics. See what's the meaning of it when it stands alone. And then see how it can make compounds. Then see how it can make affixes. Then see how whether it is transfiguring, whether the same word could be transfigured into a new version of the word. Then put it in phrases. See whether when they are getting into phrases, how the word changes. This changing nature of words is word dynamics. And what I decided to teach this particular lesson to you is quite simple. The very reason is, you have to see these words as dynamic entities. They are not simply given with just one meaning in the context. When you see a word, you should know that they can be dynamic in the context, depending on the other words it associates, depending on its suffixes it associates, depending on the infusings, like, seashore, ice cream, they infuses together and they make new words. So sense, when you read through vocabulary, sense that these words are not static, fixed, dead elements. They are lively elements which can be dynamically applying in context. And why did I teach this? Is to give you a new insight into words. When you come to know language as a living entity which has dynamic behaviors, then you start to think creatively in the language. Now, my first question, if you could remember, was how many words do you know? Now I
How
have a
many
new
words do you
question.
know? How many words do you know? I'm giving you a word, right? I'm giving you a word, certain word, right? I'm giving you
Okay.
a certain word, microscope, and if you could show us, show us how, how does this word make compounding? How does this word make affixations? How does this word make transfigurations? If you are smart enough, can you just make a
Yes.
it's a challenge.
Yeah. The first challenge today is now use the main chat, right? The word is microscope. You can see it on chat and see whether microscope could be added with affixes, suffixes,
I mean, can it
compoundings.
be analyzed? Can it be analyzed using compounding? Can it be
Yes.
extended or some kind of thing do using affixations? Can
Mhm.
can its word class can be changed using transfiguration? Just try.
Yeah. Just try. Do the experiment on chat and let us know what you are doing there. Do you think microscope is just a one word or it contains more than one word? Ah, yes, yes. Adipa starts. Madam Ashwini, you see? He thinks it's affixation. Sahanya, do you think micro and scope is affixation? Adipa starts. Mini microscope. Okay. Okay.
Okay,
Now we do.
Sahanya, yes. Sahanya thinks microscope is affixation, but again, it's Potak Varadila Sahanya. Yes,
But now we do get
Navindu,
it
it's
correct.
compounding. Yeah, got it right. Okay. And try affixation as well. Is mini microscope, again is compounding. Very good, Adipa. You are extending the word.
Yes, but once again, Adipa, we have to say, when you talk about micro, mini is not the next level
Mini
of
is
micro,
also
right?
micro. Yes,
Right.
yeah.
But your experiment is creative and we love it. Yeah. Can you all think of affixation or rather adding fixes to microscope and make new words?
Yeah, adding like to the front or the back. Just try.
Microscopic, perfect, perfect.
Right. Adipa, good, right?
You
We
add
need
the suffix
some more.
ik. Yeah. Come on. So this is why we wanted to teach you, we wanted you to learn these different dynamics. Then you know when you see one word, you should be able to detect its root, or rather the free morpheme. And if it is made out of more than one free morphemes, you'll see the two morphemes, and with which you will understand, oh my God, this is a word made out of one thing. Okay. Now look at another word. I'm giving you one more word. Try it. This is
We'll do this microscoping. So
okay.
again, you have here, this is transfiguration. Microscoping is transfiguration. Why do I say it is transfiguration? Because microscope is a noun, but microscoping is a verb. So you have changed the word class of the verb, right? And wait. I'll give you. Just try more.
Think further, think further. Because you are the future of this country. You all know how to look at a word now scientifically. Microscopy. Wow, wow, wow. Now it brings another word, ma'am, microscopy.
Copy, yes. Why microscopist? ඒක අමතක වුණාද? Microscopist.
Yeah.
And microscopically.
Oh,
Microscopic. Microscope. And yes, we have. And shall I give you another word or are you giving you another word?
I'm giving
Are you
one.
giving one? Okay, right.
It's on board. Thermodynamics. Now this is a STEM term. Do you experimenting? Come on. Adipa starts thermodynamical. Okay. Okay. You can think of adding as well. You can think of removing some suffixes and prefixes as well. Madam Ashwini, please bring a creative word for us, for them to experiment.
What did you say?
Can you bring us some fun and creative words? Couple of them.
Okay, right.
Thermodynamically, okay. Now, one thing, my dear kids, yeah, thermodynamist, okay. Now, today onwards, what you're going to do is when you word a new vocabulary item, when you come to know about a new word, what you're going to do is you're going to put that in its different dynamics, right? And putting them in different dynamics, you're going to do an experiment, and we invite you to do the experiment and then search it in a dictionary whether it has a meaning, and try to pick up which word category it belongs to. It could be a noun, verb, adjective, or whatever word class it belongs to. And if you are going to look at vocabulary in this way, rather than just getting the meaning and putting it in a meaningful sentence and so on, the thing that you were doing so far, I'm sure it's going to be very idyllic and very boring exercise. But today we have given you very creative exercise where you can try with all the dynamics of the words and try and get them meaningful, what we call play items, these words, and you can check with dictionaries whether they are meaningful and what class they do belong. So guys, ladies and gentlemen, did you learn some new tactic with which we can deal with words? Is it interesting? Until Madam Ashwini brings some words for you to experiment, I'm just asking, wasn't this idea interesting? I would love to have a react from you. Adipa says yes. Okay, thank you, Adipa. So hereinafter, never just, see. Thank you, Shahanya. You also found it interesting. Well, and let me ask from Navidu also, how do you feel this little dynamic? It's not a very big thing, but this little thing is gonna make your exploration of words a new adventure. Thank you, Navidu. You also feel good about it. Well. Now, how many words do you think you should know in order to make yourself a native like professional speaker, writer in your STEM fields? How many new words do you think you require to learn when you are becoming a scientist in STEM field, when you're becoming a professor in STEM field, when you're going to be a researcher in STEM fields dealing with the world? How many words do you think you should know to
Okay,
make
now I'm
yourself
giving you a
perfect?
word. Now I'm giving you a word. You can compound it, break it into roots and find the meaning. First find the meaning. First find its meaning, right? Break it into roots and then find its meaning and then affix and transfer, do any kind of mess to this word, right? This is the word.
So we advise you to split that first and see its particles and then go ahead doing your experiment.
So first of all, split the word into its roots and identify the roots, and then please tell us how you identified its meaning by its roots. That is your first challenge.
Neuropharmacogenomics. Now this is going to be a big word, which might come in spell master contests. How do you get the meaning of it? By splitting that into its roots? And yeah, do the experiment. Take time and do the experiment. Well, Adipa begins experimenting, ma'am. He divided just into two pieces. Sahanya, yes.
Okay. Neuropharmacognomics Sahanya ke hondai, right? And then give better if you could Sahanya give the meaning of everything. What is neuro? What is pharmaco? What is geno and mix? And tell me how you synthesize the meaning.
We get the meaning out of
Tell
all
me,
those particles.
yeah.
So.
If you could, we are like. I want a brainy person who could find the meaning of this specific term, neuropharmacogenomics.
And I'm sure she will give you a chocolate or a heart if you found it. I'm showing you often upside down heart. Yes. Upside down heart. Okay, Sahanya goes on elaborating. Neuro means nose, okay. Yes, friends, do this experiment and bring it into the discussion board here on chat. Yes, please. Now we do partake here in this little dialogue.
Navidu is a very brainy kid. Like he works silently, and I know he will finally give the answer. He's that kind of person.
And I'm also optimistic. And I'm sure Adipa and Sahanya will give a good battle against them. Come on, go ahead with your experiment. And we need to jump into another topic as well. Very brief, but we need to jump into that topic as well. Therefore, we want you to get fast into this experimenting thing. Yeah. Neuro, farm, age, nomics. Okay. Yes, you see, even with a single word like this, how many experiments you are capable of doing. I think you missed some words, Navidu. Pharmaco, medical, Sahana goes on elaborating, right? She gave neuro the meaning nerves, pharmaco the meaning medical and diagnosis, mix learning and understanding, okay. And I'm sure Sahana is searching for the meaning of geno or other gene. Yeah. Come on. Come on. Come on, Sahanya. Yes, just find the meaning of gene or gene, genome, and try to guess the meaning. I'm sure Nan would be upset with me. Something related to genes. He found the third meaning as well. Yes. I typically cheer for girls, for daughters. And at the same time, I typically love sons. Cheer for girls and extend my love for boys. Okay. Now,
Okay, I'm angry with you. Now don't talk with me. I'm angry with you from tomorrow.
did you make that comment to me, madam?
Yes.
But you violated your role because at this very moment, you are not going to talk. You did.
Oh, I didn't do. But don't talk to me again.
Come on. Yes, Madam Ashwini has given some of the explanations here. You see? With that, you see, nervous system, pharmaco, that's all about drugs. Gen refers to genes or genetics and, genomes. Ome completes it. Okay. X is basically study economics, dynamics, right? Physics, X means study. So neuropharmacogenomics means the study of how genes influence the brain's response to drugs. You see? Isn't this experiment really, really scientific? And isn't this really interesting? If you have any positive feeling, yes, give Madam Ashwini a heart react. If you really, really enjoy this experiment and if you are going to continue this, we want heart reacts. Come on. Hearts, hearts, hearts. Thank you. Thank you. Sahanya and Navindu. What about Adipa? No hearts, Adipa? You don't need to take your heart out. Ah, yes, yes. Okay, thank you. Thank you. With that, let me move quickly to the next slide. I happen to prepare for you. Yes. This is about my second question. Can you remember the last question I happened to ask from you? How many words do you think, as a guess, you might need to know to become a conversant STEM professional? How many words do you think, in your guess, is required for you to be what? Proficient in a given scientific context. So that is my question. Hope you can see my screen on yours. Is it? Okay, Adiba, no worries. No worries. What I'm talking here, Buddha? Can you see my screen on yours? Hello, is my... Yeah. Thank you. So I have set a second question. What is it? How many words do you think, in your guess, you need to know in order to become a successful academic, successful scientist, successful professional in the fields of STEM, right? So with that, I'm taking the very idea of academic word list, which is a finding of applied linguistics. Let's look at what it is, right? Academic word list. Now you can actually go into Google or anything, that you like, any search engine, and you can search for academic word list. Academic word list is a research finding by Avril Coxhead. She found this in the year 2000. She is from a New Zealand university, and what she found is she happened to research through 3.5 million academic corpus. Corpus means some big data sets where words are part of. Say, for example, if you take a journal has so many articles in it, right? And if you take a thesis, your elder sisters, your past graduates, your professors, and people like us happen to do a thesis for our masters, for our PhDs. We do thesis, which means we write up a research, right? And Avril Coxhead happens to search through 3.5 million to name 3,500,000 corpuses, or rather sources of data, which means, she happened to search to analyze through 3.5 million academic databases and found that there are nearly 570 word families common in academic texts, because you are going to make academic texts. For you to be conversant, to you to be very proficient in that academic context, you need to know only 570 word families. Now, why families? Now, you might be wondering, these families are actually, when you put a word into its different dynamics, you will see one word can make more than one meaningful word units. And that is what you call making a word family. Now, by learning word dynamics, you come to know how to make a word family, right? Now, if you take go can be put in compounds, transfigurations, and in each form of its dynamics, and you can form the word family of the word go. The same way, Avril Coxhead found that there are nearly 570 word families which are common in all academic texts. And she divided these 570 words into 10 subsets by frequency. Frequency in the sense which set goes more frequent and which set goes the next most frequent, and so on. And this finding is one of the landmark findings in STEM literacy, because with that, people start to throw away the fear of learning STEM subjects in English medium. And we are going to introduce you the same, because once you come to know what is academic word list, and when you start experimenting with academic word lists, making the word families by employing the word dynamics lesson you learned today, you are going to be a master of it. And with that, you are going to be the next STEM profession. Okay, let's go. And what she found, she says that she found these words common in textbooks. Now, when you know these academic word list, 570 word set families, you will see that when you know the meaning of them, you will find your textbooks easy. You will find your lectures and your academic articles easy for you to understand. And remember, these are the words appear in every assignment, every exam that you're going to write. And the biggest thing is, knowing this boosts your academic writing and understanding. It can boost your writing ability because you know those words, and it can boost your understanding as well. When you hear it, you get to know it quite easily. Makes your language sound precise and credible. Now, when you're communicating in STEM, you have to be precise and credible in your expression. And knowing academic word list makes you competent in that domain. So let's look at an example. The researchers derived the conclusion from experimental data. Right? Now, this is a sentence. In this sentence, academic word list included these words. What are they? Researchers is one of the word families identified in AWL. Derived is another. Conclusion and data are another word. So we are giving you a very, very, very shortcut. to learn the entire jargon of STEM fields by learning 570 word families. Madam Ashwini, just add something to this before I move to the next slide.
Yeah, I think now just when you are into academic writing and doing researches and everything ඔගලන්ට රිසර්ච් එක කරා කියලා ඔගොල්ලෝ ස්ටේට් කරනවා මේ ස්ටෙප්ස් කරා මෙහෙම කරා කියලා. එතකොට ඔයාලට තියෙන්නේ පොඩි ඔයාලට මේ වචන ටිකක් තියෙනවා. ඒක ඔයාලා මොන රිසර්ච් එක කරත් ඔයගලන්ගේ දාන ඩේටා ටික තමයි වෙනස් වෙන්නේ. බට් මොකක්ද ඒක කියන්නේ I mean, ඔයාලට මොන රිසර්ච් එක කරත් ඔයගලන්ට රිසර්ච් කියන වචනේ ඕන වෙනවා. ඔයාලට මොන රිසර්ච් එක කරත් ඔයාලට කන්ක්ලූෂන් එකක් තියෙනවා. ඊට පස්සේ ඩේටා කියන වචනේ ඕන වෙනවා. ඩිරයිව් කියන්නේ අපි මොකක් හරි ෆැක්ට් එකක් අපි කියන්නේ මොකක් හරි ඩේටා අනුව ඒකෙන් මොකක් හරි තියරි එකක් මේව කරගන්න. අන්න ඒ වගේ කමියුනිකේට් කරන්න ඔයගලගේ ඇකඩමික් රයිටින් වල හරි ඔයගලගේ STEM කමියුනිකේෂන් වල හරි ඕක වෙන්නේ දැන් ඔයාලට කියන්නේ ඕක වෙන්නේ ඔයාලට කොමන් වචන සෙට් එකක් තියෙනවා. ඒ වචන සෙට් එක තමයි ගොඩක්ම භාවිතා වෙන්නේ. එතකොට මේ වචන සෙට් එක චුට්ටි ඉගෙන ගත්තට පස්සේ වෙන්නේ මේ වචන සෙට් එක ඔයාලට තර වුණාට පස්සේ ඔයාගේ තියෙන මේ ෆයින්ඩින්ග්ස් ඔයාගේ ඩේටා ටික දාලා ඒ වචන ටිකත් එක්ක ඔයාලට මේ
සෙල්ලම් දාන්න පුළුවන්.
කමියුනිකේට් කරන්න පුළුවන්.
Well, let's move to the next slide and see what is there. Well, quick quiz. Can you guess, do you think that every word is there in academic word list? No, it's not every word that comes in academic word list. Academic word list simply includes certain words which are going to be academically used. Can you guess out of the 4-5 words we have given here, what do you think you guess can be there in academic word list? You can simply send it in chat. Adipa guesses derive and sector. Sahana also guesses sector. Okay. What about Navidu? Derive and sector. Okay. Don't you think that words like happy, cool, and environment be part of academic word list? No, your guess is correct. Yes, they are coming in the general vocabulary list. Even environment is general technical term. Happy, cool, and environment. Such words do not come in academic word list. Academic word list is all about where academic context is relevant when the word is used. Okay, let's go to the next slide and see. When you master academic vocabulary or other academic word list, it will help you to write clearly. Now, when you write your assignments, when you write your essays, when you write your final thesis, and in everything, you'll be writing clearly because you're using this frequently used, very sound, very accepted, very much standard word list. And at the same time, as Madam Ashwini happened to remark a little while ago, when you know the meaning and its word families, and when you experiment that with the word dynamics we taught you, you become capable of using it. With that, you start to read faster because you don't need to stop at places and seek for the meaning of that word, right? So do that. And above all, when you do this experiment of word dynamics in academic word list, and when you know academic word list thoroughly, you start to think critically, right? So remember, now we are going to test our detective skills. Are you ready? If you're ready, give me a thumbs up. With that, I can move to the game next. Little game, a simple game. Give me a thumbs up, please. Chimu. Thank you, Adipa. Thank you, Sahanya. And Navidu, don't you give me a thumbs up? Not even Madam Ashwini is giving me a thumbs up. What to do?
For what thumbs up? For what?
Okay. We are going to be in a little game.
Okay. I was
Okay,
not
we'll go.
concentrating. Just can I participate in the game?
Yes, perhaps. Not a big
Okay.
game, just a game, little simple game. Yes. Here we go. Oh my God. Give me 1
Your
second.
presentation is over.
It is not over. Give me 1 second. Stay tuned. Give me 1 second.
No, I can't state you. You have to open the presentation now.
Are you ready? Yes, I am sure you are ready. Here we go. You are a word detective. Your goal is to investigate the meaning of an academic word. And the second task is guess the parts of speech, whether it's a noun or an article or determiner or rather pronoun, verb, adjective, and so on. And predict how the word might be used in same context. And you are to partake in a possible sentence using that word, right? Use clues like word roots, prefixes, or context. You know the simple tactics we've learned so far, right? Your mission is that, and we are going to do that. Here are your clues. Discuss with your team, or rather think aloud, individually think aloud. Meet the mystery words. What you're supposed to do? Take each of these words, or rather some of them, and try to guess its meaning and try to put it in a meaningful sentence, or rather, at least try to put it in its word family, right? Word family in the sense you're going to try some of your word dynamic skills that you learned today into practice and make at least some of the other members of this family.
First one you already know, ne? First one is easy. The
Yeah.
last one is easy. And the third
Yeah.
one is easy. And
Let
the
us give
second
them
one I already.
acquire. We'll start with acquire. So everyone, try and do your experiment with acquire. So it's hilarious that this sound detector read my pronunciation of acquire as Nagpur. This time I detected it rightly.
Acquire
Oh.
as Nagpur. Read my pronunciation of acquire as Nagpur. Quiet Sonaku. Read my pronunciation. It gives like.
So guys, are you all doing the experiment with acquire? Yeah. Quick. Send us your responses.
You think acquire we can't guess the meaning of an individual word. Ne? We had to give a sentence. Okay, I've acquired a taste for okay, apple juice. How did you acquire this taste? Like, okay, I can guess. You went on a date with someone special, and then her favorite drink was apple juice. Then second day also, it's like that female person, bargained you to bring apple juice, and little by little, when your relationship grew, and every day you were drinking apple juice with her, and little by little you acquired a taste to apple juice, and then yes, that's why Adip. That's how Adip you acquired a taste to apple juice.
Adipa,
Am I
don't be
correct?
misled by this madam's storytelling, because she is a professional storyteller, and she has millions of experiments that she had done in her life to bring stories into life. Yeah, he's bringing the idea. Lots of ideas, ma'am. Guys, are you there? Make the experiment. Do the experiment. I acquired a taste for apple juice. Sahanya, you want to see your experiment as well. Navidu, we want you also to try. Bring your outcome to the main chat so that everyone can read it. And we are actually passing our given time, but still I want you to give you a bit of time before we conclude. Yes. Come on, guys. Acquire. Try to put, or rather try to find its other family members. Just apply the word dynamics you learned and try to identify who are the other members of this family. Acquire. Come on, my dear friends. එට පොයන එක නිසා නිදාගන්න හදිසියක් නෑනේ කාටවත් නේද? Look at the translation. My signal expression was translated into wonderful English
Boy
expression.
in cognition. It says, look at the translation. Boy in cognition or something.
Guys, are you experimenting or are you putting us into trouble? Just wasting our time.
No, I mean we have to give them a sentence with
No, madam,
or a
no, madam.
paragraph.
No, we can go to the sentence later. I want them to find the other members of the family of acquire. They can add prefixes, suffixes, compound, and maybe put the phrase, what you call phrasing dynamics. And yes, the last will be making a complete sentence.
You can't make a sentence without knowing the meaning of the word. So we have to first give them a sentence or something to help them guess the meaning of this word.
Will you kindly do that part on behalf of the class?
Okay.
දැන් මේ ළමයි පළවෙනි දවස් දෙකේ පන්තියේ ඉඳලා හිතාගෙන හිටියේ oh my god මේකේ නම් හෙන ටෙක්නිකල් කැම්පස් ටයිප් ජාගන් එකක් යන්නේ මේකේ ඉගෙන ගන්න වෙන්නේ නැහැ ඔන්න සයිටේෂන්ස් වලින් පටන් ගත්තා ජර්නල් ආටිකල් වල මෙරිට්ස් හොයන්න ගත්තා oh my god what the hell we are going to learn. But today, those who have participated here must have seen that we are actually directing you to look at even the language you are learning in a very STEM-based scientific way. So when you start to do experiment with the little building blocks of language that you learn every day, you're going to master the language without knowing, right? So without a huge effort, with bit of a fun and play, if you master the language, what's going to happen? You're going to acquire STEM quite interestingly. Yes, we are getting answers, madam. Navidu brought a series, acquired, acquiring, okay? And Madam
Yes, now I have given you three sentences which uses the word acquire. So then you can guess the meaning of the word acquire. I mean, you can predict the meaning of the word acquire by reading these three sentences.
shall I read it for classes' sake? After years of practice, she finally acquired the ability to play the piano fluently. After years of practice, she acquired the ability to play the piano fluently. I think quite easy for you to guess the meaning. Let's move to the second sentence. The scientists acquired rare data from the experiment that no one else had managed to collect. Scientists acquired rare data. Third example I'm reading, children acquire language naturally by listening to people around them. Children acquire language naturally by listening to people around them. So you see, acquire means atpat karagannawa, yam deck, yes. Obtain, gain, yes. Getting ability to perform a specific task, yes. That's great. Okay, you guess the meaning. Now, the family members, if you start with simple compounding, simple affixation, acquire, acquired, acquires, acquiring, acquisition, right? So you get the other family members. So what we are inviting you is to do acquirable, yes. Acquitted, yeah, there are. So, ladies and gentlemen, the simple lesson that you take home today is that words are not just, dead pebbles that you see in language. They are living entities which can do magic by behaving live entities, like live entities which can make a difference in the context it comes. Acquirer, yes. So guys, thank you very much for partaking in this game. Madam Ashwini, let us move to the next slide because the watch is clicking fast. Yeah. So what you are supposed to do is something like this. You can take it. You can take the meaning part of speech and you can put it in a sample sentence. You can do this when you're starting to study the AWL. And no. Okay. Why academic words we come to know? When you come to know academic word lists, they appear in all disciplines and it helps you sound more credible in your writing. It improves your comprehension of text, lectures and research papers. Finally, you just taken your first step in mastering the language of academia by learning academic word list. Now, I happen to talk about a lot about academic word list and I told Avril Coxhead how she found it. And I told you it has only 570 words. And I told you these 570 words are divided into 10 subgroups. So in each subgroup, there is at least 60 or less words. And those words, when you come to know, are once again lined up in the frequency. The most frequent list is taken as the first frequent list. You can start learning with that, and second and third and so on, right? And in the Moodle page, we have uploaded all the academic word lists for your reference, right? So that is what I have had from my end to share today. And before I move on to the next last episode of the whole thing, let me take you to the what? Moodle page where you can find these resources, right? Yes. Let me share my screen. And here where you are. Now, oftentimes we invite you to go into your Moodle page and see what we have uploaded there, right? Now, you see this is your course page. On General, under General tab, we have added the course logo. And of course, the first thing is your live sessions link. You don't need to remember this. You just have to come to the page and click on it. You'll be directed to class. And there is preface to Acalistem. Read this thing. And after reading the book we are given here and the introduction, and after understanding even the what we call course objectives, then you have to do this little quiz. We have seen that some of you have not done it yet, but most of you have done it. Do that quiz, and then lesson 1, first day lesson, we have uploaded it. And session 2 recording is also uploaded. Session 1 recording we have uploaded, but from the YouTube, we got a little query on its copyright issue. That's why it's getting delayed. I happen to apply for a review, and after review, we'll be uploading it soon. And today's lesson will also be uploaded here next to academic word list. Now here in academic vocabulary, AWL sublist are given. Once you get there, you can get the AW sublist. And next week, we'll be adding here a glossary, making use AWL word list as part of it. And we'll be doing a lot of quizzes to test your academic vocabulary mastery in future sessions. So before I wind up, let me give you the chance to send your responses on how do you feel about today's lesson. And I know that it's going to be very, very simple lesson, but what I myself and Madam Ashwini wanted is to give you a new insight, new approach to language and looking at words, because words are not just dead things. They are living things. They have dynamics and they can do magic. And you come to know all the magics that you can do with words. That was our objective. It's over to you, ladies and gentlemen, to actually give your comment.